Have you ever sat down for a quiet meal, something simple, a bowl of rice, maybe a little soup, and yet, not long after, felt that familiar discomfort blooming in your belly? That tightness, that bubbling unease. Sometimes it's bloating, sometimes it's gas, or just a general heaviness you can't quite name. If you've ever looked down, patted your stomach gently, and whispered to it, "Come on now, settle down," then, my friend, this conversation is for you. Because I believe that after 60, the stomach speaks to us more clearly than ever before. Not with words, of course, but with signals. A gurgle, a cramp, a restless night. And the truth is, many of us have spent years feeding our bodies what's fast, what's convenient, or what's expected, without ever truly asking, does this food bring me peace? You see, digestion isn't just about breaking down food. It's about how your entire body responds to nourishment. And as we age, our digestive system becomes more sensitive, not weaker, necessarily, but more particular. It asks us to slow down, to pay attention, to choose with care. Today, we're going to have a gentle, unhurried conversation about food, not as something to control or fear, but as a companion, a quiet medicine. We'll explore together what you can eat, lovingly and simply, to bring calm back to your stomach after 60. And if anything I share today resonates with you, if it brings back a memory or offers a new idea, I invite you to leave a small comment below with the number 1, just so I know you're there, listening with me. Now let's begin, as all good stories do, in the kitchen. When I think of calming the stomach, the very first food that comes to mind is plain white rice, warm, soft, familiar. It's not glamorous, it's not trendy, but oh, how kind it is to the belly. I remember my mother, small hands, swift movements, ladling rice porridge into bowls during every cold season. No matter what the illness was, cough, fever, or just exhaustion, she always said, start with rice. It listens to the stomach. And she was right. White rice is low in fiber, which means it's easy to digest. It doesn't ask your gut to work too hard. It provides gentle energy without overwhelming the system. And most importantly, it absorbs flavors beautifully, so you can pair it with other healing ingredients. Sometimes, when my own stomach is unsettled, whether from too much rich food or simply the shifting rhythm of age, I return to what I call rice days. A warm bowl in the morning with a pinch of salt. A second bowl at lunch with steamed pumpkin or finely shredded chicken. A third, if needed, in the evening, this time maybe with ginger broth or a soft-boiled egg. There's no rule, no restriction. Only this quiet question. How do I feel after eating this? And if the answer is lighter, calmer, more at ease, then you know you've chosen well. Let me share a little story with you. Last winter, one of my students, a lovely man named Alan, 72, soft-spoken and curious, came to me with a question. Why does my stomach feel like it's working overtime, even after simple meals? We sat and talked, and I asked him what he was eating. Toast with jam, spicy sausage, dark coffee. All delicious, but quite bold for a morning stomach, especially after 60. So I suggested this. Try plain rice for 3 mornings. Add only what your body thanks you for. He smiled, skeptical but open. A week later, he came back and said, I didn't realize how noisy my digestion had become, until it went quiet again. That, to me, is the heart of calming the stomach. Not fixing, not silencing, just soothing, letting it feel safe again. Rice does that, and I'd invite you to give it a chance, especially on days when your body feels like it's asking for rest, not challenge. Now, as we stir the rice, let it steam and soften. I want you to think of the meals in your life that felt like comfort. Maybe it was something your grandmother made. Maybe it was something you made for your children. Those foods, The gentle ones, the nourishing ones, they are still with you. And they are still powerful. We don't need exotic cures or complicated diets. We just need to remember how to listen again. So today, perhaps let your next meal be a quiet one. One bowl, one spoonful at a time. Let your stomach sigh in relief. Let it feel heard. And as we move forward in this conversation, I'll bring you closer to other foods like this. Companions that don't argue with your gut, but rather hold its hand. It's a curious thing how the foods that comforted us in childhood often remain the ones that bring peace in old age. Maybe you, like me, remember those gentle bowls of congee, or the smell of warm bread, or the soft sweetness of ripe banana mashed with a fork. These are not complicated dishes. They are gifts from the heart, simple and true. When our stomachs seem unsettled after 60, I've noticed that returning to these gentle foods is often the kindest thing we can do for ourselves. Sometimes, people worry that if it's not superfood, it's not good enough. But what your belly wants, most of all, is to feel safe and understood. Let's talk now about another food that has soothed so many of my students, bananas. You might be surprised, but a ripe banana is one of the best choices for a calm, happy stomach after 60. Bananas are easy to digest, provide soft fiber, and contain natural prebiotics that gently nurture your gut. I often remember my grandfather. He used to keep a bunch of bananas on the kitchen table, picking the softest one each morning. He would peel it slowly, slice it into a bowl, and eat it with a spoon, sometimes adding just a drizzle of honey or a sprinkle of cinnamon. He'd say, "A banana a day, and your stomach will have nothing to complain about." Bananas don't just fill your stomach, they help line it with kindness. The natural fibers, the gentle sweetness, and the way they blend so well with other soft foods. All these help the gut heal from a restless night or a difficult meal the day before. If you find yourself anxious about breakfast, try starting your day with a small banana. If you want to feel even more comforted, you can mash the banana and stir it into a bowl of plain rice or oatmeal. Sometimes the simplest meals are the most nourishing. Now let's move to another gentle healer, warm herbal tea. In my many years of guiding older friends, I have seen how a simple cup of tea, whether it's ginger, chamomile, or even a mild peppermint, can calm not just the stomach, but the spirit too. One of my students, Julia, struggled with a stomach that seemed to twist and turn every evening. Meals would settle heavily, and she dreaded the discomfort. I suggested she end her day with a warm mug of ginger tea. Within a week, she shared with me how that nightly ritual brought comfort, helping her belly feel soothed and her heart more peaceful. Ginger tea, especially, can gently relax the digestive tract, ease bloating, and help the whole body unwind after a busy day. Chamomile soothes both nerves and gut, and peppermint is wonderful for those moments when the stomach feels tight. The ritual is as important as the tea itself. Let the steam rise. Hold the mug in both hands. Breathe in the gentle aroma. Drink slowly, as if you have all the time in the world. These little acts of care send a message to your stomach. You are safe here. When you find the foods and drinks that bring you this kind of peace, you will notice your stomach gradually trusts you more and more. It stops shouting for attention. It begins at last to rest. I wonder, as you listen, do you have your own gentle breakfast or warm drink that never fails to settle your belly? I'd love for you to share it in the comments below. You never know whose day you might brighten with a simple memory or tip. So let's continue on this gentle journey together, moving slowly, kindly, listening always to what our bodies truly need. Sometimes I find myself thinking about the way food was shared in my family, how a simple meal could bring so much comfort to a tired body and a restless mind. When we talk about a calm stomach after 60, there's something else that often gets forgotten. The way we eat is just as important as what we eat. For so many years, I used to rush through breakfast, distracted by chores or the news on television. But as I grew older, I realized my stomach felt its best when I sat down, took a breath, and truly noticed each bite. It isn't only about choosing gentle foods, it's about treating every meal like an act of care. This is why I recommend slow, mindful eating to anyone who comes to me with stomach troubles. Maybe you take your rice or your banana, but instead of eating quickly, you pause between each mouthful. You chew thoroughly, savoring the warmth and the flavor, letting your body catch up to your thoughts. I remember a woman named Edith. She struggled with heartburn for years, convinced that her body was betraying her. When she began eating with mindfulness, sitting at the table, no distractions, taking her time, her pain faded. "It's as if my stomach finally trusts me," she said. That is the power of slow, intentional eating. Along with how you eat, there are two more gentle foods I wish to share for peace after 60: stewed apples and plain yogurt. These may seem ordinary, but together they bring both kindness and balance to your belly. Stewed apples, warm and soft, remind me of autumn evenings when my grandmother would simmer apples with a bit of cinnamon. The gentle sweetness and soluble fiber help soothe a sensitive gut, while the warmth calms from the inside out. If raw fruits feel harsh on your stomach, try peeling and gently cooking apples until they are tender. They become almost like a healing dessert, easy to digest, gentle on the gut, and comforting in every spoonful. Plain yogurt, too, is a quiet healer. Choose unsweetened, unflavored varieties with live cultures, and your stomach will thank you. The probiotics in yogurt help restore balance to the gut, easing digestion and keeping things running smoothly. Sometimes, on days when my own stomach feels unsettled, I have a small bowl of yogurt with a few slices of stewed apple. It feels like a kind embrace, school, soft and always settling. Perhaps you have your own gentle pairings foods that together bring comfort and calm. I'd love to hear about them in the comments so that we can all learn from each other's experiences. Above all, remember that every small step you take to care for your stomach is an act of kindness toward your whole self. You don't have to follow strict rules or eat the same as anyone else. Just listen with patience and trust the wisdom your body has gathered over a lifetime. In these quiet moments, as we reach the end of our conversation, I want to remind you that your journey toward a peaceful stomach is not a race. It is a gentle unfolding, a practice of kindness, and a way to honor the wisdom of your body. The last gentle food I wish to share with you is something almost everyone can find: plain, nourishing soup. It could be a simple broth, a few tender vegetables, maybe a handful of rice, or a slice of soft tofu. Soup is more than a meal. It's a warm hug for your insides, offering both hydration and comfort with every spoonful. I remember many years ago sitting at my father's bedside as he recovered from illness. All he wanted was a bowl of warm, clear soup. Each slow sip seemed to soften his pain, to ease the tension in his face, and to bring him back to himself. Sometimes what heals us most is not medicine, but the patient attention of a loved one, or the quiet care we give ourselves. As you move through your days, I hope you will carry this lesson with you. Gentleness is powerful. Whether it's the way you cook, the foods you choose, or the rituals you create, let every act around food be a gesture of respect for your body's needs. If you've listened to all of this and found a moment of peace or a memory that made you smile, I invite you to share it in the comments below. Maybe you want to tell me your favorite comfort food, or perhaps a lesson you learned from someone you love. And if this video has given you even a little hope, or helped your belly feel at ease, you are always welcome here. You can like or subscribe if you wish, but above all, I hope you keep finding gentle ways to care for yourself. Let's breathe together for a moment. Feel the warmth in your belly, the steady beat of your heart, the simple joy of being alive. Your story is not finished, and your care for yourself is not a small thing. You are a living example of how quiet choices build lasting strength. Thank you for spending this time with me. Until next time, may you eat with peace, move with ease, and find comfort in every meal.